Hey, sports fans, this is John Kuntz coming to you from Sussex County Community College and the Skylander sports scene right here on 97.5. Today I have two of our baseball players with us, Anthony Carida and Tyler Goff. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
They are both second-year players for Sussex County Community College, and we're going to talk about the upcoming baseball season. I know people out there think, well, it's kind of early. It still might be a little bit cold, but the college baseball gets started extremely early on the Northeast, and as soon as we can get out on the field, we start playing. So, Anthony, we're going to start with you. Why don't you give us a little background, a little history of where you played, where you grew up, and things like that.
Yeah, I grew up in Hackettstown over in Warren County, went to Hackettstown High School, was a 3-year varsity starter there on the baseball team, was also a 4-year starter on the wrestling team there, played under Coach Poyer. Started as a second baseman, eventually moved over to shortstop and did a little bit of pitching too.
Okay. And I think, wasn't Coach Poyer attended here?
Yes, he did.
A number of years ago. Okay.
He was one of the guys that kind of pointed me towards coming to Sussex.
Oh, good. All right, great. And Tyler, same thing. Now, Tyler's not from the area, so let him tell you a little bit about where he's from and his background.
Yeah, I'm from Littleton, Colorado. I was a 2-year starter, varsity starter at Chatfield Senior High School out of Littleton, Colorado. Grew up my whole life playing baseball, actually. Majority of the time played third base, outfield, pitched a little, but then it was when I transferred to Chatfield my senior year, actually, I converted over back to my catching roots, which is what I'm doing here at Sussex County. What kind of got me back into it. So,
okay, great. All the way from Colorado. So how did you end up here at Sussex County Community College from Littleton, Colorado?
Yeah, I get asked that question a lot, but it was just the recruiting process. My coach, Matt Johnson, worked with me a lot with getting me recruited and getting me seen, and created a field-level account, and that's where Coach Rom actually and I first came in contact, and we communicated for a little bit. He called me on the phone a couple times once I was at a high school football game, and I actually broke away from the game to communicate with him. So, just built a relationship from the beginning, and then I came on my visit, and field level brought me out here, and I fell in love with the place when I first came out here, so that's what brought me to Sussex.
Oh, great. And Coach Rom is our coach, obviously, Ramadan Mehmedi. Players call him Coach Rom. I call him Rom. Been with us for a number of years, also a former player at Sussex County Community College. So, Tyler, let's go back again. You have catched early in your years, then played other positions, and then went back to catching?
Yeah, so I caught, when I first started playing baseball, my dad was my coach, and he needed somebody who was tough, and he knew I was tough, so he put me behind the plate, and I really enjoyed it, really loved it. But then growing up, changing teams, I got bounced around to new positions, new places, played some shortstop, played some third base, outfield, pitch. A lot of coaches refer to me as their favorite utility player. They put me out there, I do the job, and I just love playing. But it was after my junior year, I started third base for the whole year, and then we were losing a really good catcher, and we had a couple kids coming up from JV who really wasn't mentally, I was thinking wasn't mentally ready for the gig. So during the fall, I talked with my coach and told him I want to transfer back to catching, and he gave me the fall to play for him and the opportunity to prove that I could be the starting catcher for the varsity squad my senior year. And for a while, he kind of doubted me, but I kept working with him, kept working with our other coaches, and then eventually at the end of the fall, he granted me the spot for starting catcher position. So, just kind of something I've always enjoyed. You got to love it, getting down, blocking the baseball, and that's something I love doing. So. And
you're in on every play. Every pitch. You have something to do. You don't, mind can't wander like it might in the outfield or something.
Right,
You got to be ready for every pitch that comes your way. All right. Let's go back to Anthony. So how has the start gone? You guys now have been practicing for a few weeks, and I'm sure everybody's excited, like every other team in America, college team getting ready to start their season. So how have things gone early on?
They've gone pretty well. Right now it seems like the team is really clicking as a unit, which is really important. It's something that we really couldn't figure out last year, but it feels like it's really coming together well this year. We had pitchers and catchers. After that, we had our Hell Week, where it's just a lot of conditioning. Really, Coach Rom's just looking for us to be mentally tough and kind of push ourselves a little bit there. So we got through that, and now getting in, getting reps in the cage, off the tees, doing some drills as far as defense goes, and right now the team's just looking really good, I think.
And where do you think you are penciled in right now for the upcoming season?
Right now it's looking like I'm going to be in center field.
In center field?
Yeah.
Okay. No pitching in the future?
No, I actually had an elbow injury,
Okay.
so it's going to prevent me from pitching. But yeah,
Okay.
still be able to play center.
All right. Good. And help us out with the stick a little bit too,
Yeah.
right? Drive in some runs.
Definitely.
That's good. So Tyler, talk a little bit. You've seen some of the pitchers. Obviously, pitching is a fairly large part of the game, not like softball. I mean, softball, it's a huge part of the game. But in baseball, it's a certain important aspect. What's the pitching staff look like so far?
The pitching staff this year, I think, is probably one of the most well-rounded we've had this year. Compared to last year, being a second-year player. We have two great returning starters, Sean Kellerman and Trevor Risden. They were our 1 and 2 last year, looking to be our 1 and 2 again this year. We got new transfer in from South Carolina and Ty King, who seems to be a good middle relief guy. He has good fastball, great changeup, and he knows the zone. He knows what he's doing. We got two new kids too from foreign exchange students, actually, or international students. Gustavo Souza from Brazil and Edgardo Matute from Honduras, and both those good. Gustavo has arm. He's got life on his fastball, as people say. He throws the ball hard, and Edgardo has got a really good fastball. But he loves his changeup, and it's just something where, I'm thinking when I'm catching their bullpens, 1-2, 0-2, it's something that's going to be throwing hitters off balance, and I'm liking our arms that we have. We got a lot of good freshmen coming up in the program too. A little lefty, Matthew Bell. He's got a nice delivery from the left-hand side, and a couple other guys too that might shock some other teams in our region when we play them.
That's good. You can never have enough pitching. You always need plenty of pitching, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because who knows what's going to happen as the course of the season goes along, injuries, sore arms, things like that. Certain guys might not live up to expectations, so you got to have plenty of arms to get through the season. And with the college baseball season, a lot of games a lot of times get backed up. You're playing multiple doubleheaders on consecutive days, maybe a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or at least a Saturday and Sunday. So you got to have certainly a lot of arms to go the distance there. So, Anthony, we'll come back to you now. What have you found to be major differences from high school baseball to college baseball?
Well, first of all, just the speed of the game. I think everything kind of moves a lot faster, which last year took me a little bit of time to get used to it. The pitchers are throwing harder. The curveballs are a lot more crisp. So that definitely took some getting used to. With practices and everything too, like a lot of the stuff, we have practice and everything, but a lot of it is also put on us, like stuff you got to do in your own time, as far as getting reps in the cage, because during practice we only have 2 hours in the gym, so you got to be able to be willing to put in more work on your own time, and then also getting in the weight room, making sure you're getting your lifts in, getting stronger. All that kind of falls on you as a player, and that's something that wasn't really there in high school that I've noticed, is there more so in college. I think that's pretty much it.
Talk about, you mentioned a new weight room at Fitness Center that just opened this past fall. Has that made a difference in for you and for the baseball players as far as their workouts concerned?
Yeah, definitely. During the off season, we were able to put together a workout program for the entire team to get in there and make sure everybody's doing their stuff. And I know I'm in there almost every day working on something. I think that's really been a big help, because that's something that we didn't have last year. It's really helping all the sports teams out this year.
Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm. It's been a great addition to our athletic department, and Dr. Conley, our president, and the administration have been very supportive of athletics in general, and are providing things like, the new fitness center, weight room, redid the gym floor, new lighting in the gym. I'm sure that's helped you guys out as well as far as batting practice. Oh, yeah. It was a little dark and dingy in there in the past years, so you really had to keep an eye on the ball then, that's for sure. But we made a number of improvements. Tyler, how about you? What differences would you say between the high school level and the college level?
I'm just going to top off on what Carida said with the same thing is just the pace of the game. It's quicker, it's faster, and there's some things that you get away with in high school ball that you won't get away with here. You got to be every day. You got to be mentally checked in. You got to be on your game, and you got to know what you're doing. Especially being at a 2-year, every day you're playing for your job. You don't compete. You don't come out here. You don't do your job. In 2-3 days, you might be coming off the bench, or you might be sitting on the bench. So. Whereas, in high school, you get a little more leniency and coaches are more, apt to dealing and working with these things. But, here we only have a short amount of time and we're here to win. We're here to compete. We're here to make a name for ourselves. So I think just the pace of the game and, how mentally checked in and how mentally prepared you need to be for not only just single games but the entirety of the season, I think that's really what's been the difference that I've noticed.
Yeah. And I think you have to, as a player, you got to kind of keep your options open. You can't get locked into being, okay, I'm a center fielder and that's all I'm going to do, or I'm a second baseman, that's all I'm going to do. Is it true that I think I see at the college level more conversion happening? If a coach finds somebody who's a good athlete and who's playing, first base, well, you know what? He might work for us over at third base. Is that occurring?
Yeah, well, when Coach Rom was recruiting me, I came here as a shortstop, as a middle infielder. Okay. And first thing he did was move me out to center because he said he wanted to utilize my speed more. And I didn't have the best hands as far as fielding the ball. So he put me out there, and I immediately saw success in the outfield. I feel like I'm a better baseball player now out in the outfield rather than in the infield, which is something that I would have never gotten if he hadn't moved me out there.
Yeah, so. It's got to keep your options open. The more you can do, the more valuable you are to the team. You're listening to the Skylander Sports Scene on 97.5, your cruising oldies station. And my guests today are Anthony Carida and Tyler Goff, two of our baseball players getting ready for our upcoming 2018 season. Let's see, we've covered a number of things already. What's the competition like? And we'll go to Tyler on this. What's the competition like in Region 19? This is the region that we play in. We're a member of the National Junior College Athletic Association, known as the NJCAA. We're also a member of the Garden State Athletic Conference. And we see a pretty high level quality of baseball in our region. So can you talk a little bit about that, Tyler?
Region 19, in the NJCAA, a lot of people they know Region 19 from Mercer. Mercer's the big school within our region, and they're not the only ones in there. We got CCM and a couple others that pose a lot, great competition. They get great recruits, great guys. Their coaches there, they know the game and they know how to, deal with the staff and deal with rotation and create a lineup that's scary. Yeah. So. The competition in this region, is not, it's there. There is competition. There's some great guys. We've got 2 guys drafted out of Mercer last year for pitching. We faced both of them last year, and they're some studs. Same thing with CCM. We had a guy who was looking at MLB teams looking at him and threw against us, and we talk about all these other great teams, but we're right there. Sussex County, we competed with them. I think one game it was against Mercer last year. It was 2-1 through 5 innings. Against the kid who was getting drafted, and we have so there's a lot of good competition in our within our region. But what we look forward to and what we ache for is the Mercer and the CCM games, big time.
Yeah,
big time.
Yeah, those are 2 quality teams. Overall, your schedule. Day in and day out, you're facing good competition. There's not many softies on the schedule.
No,
and
not at all.
You got to be ready to play. I'm looking at it here. Mercer and Del Tech Owens and Lackawanna has a good program. You go up to Middletown, New York, to play Orange County. You go to Sullivan County, New York, to play up there. They have a quality program. County College of Morris, like you mentioned, these are all really, really strong programs, and a lot of these are doubleheader dates as well. And the other thing that you guys do is you do go to Florida. And I'm going to have Anthony talk a little bit about that. In mid-March, you'll be going to Florida, playing about 10 games down there against other colleges who are also down in Florida training for the upcoming season. What was that experience like last year, and how much are you looking forward to going back there?
I'm really looking forward to it. We play a lot of good competition down there as well. I know last year We played a couple ranked teams. We actually beat a couple ranked teams last year. But not only is it good baseball, but it's a good chance for the team to kind of bond and come together. There's no distractions down there. You're just down there. You play baseball, then you go back to the house and you hang out with your teammates. It's not like here where you have school, you have homework and everything on your mind. So down there, it's a good chance to just really focus on baseball. And we saw last year while we were down there, we played a lot better down there. And it was a good chance for us also to see some really quality teams, get us ready right off the bat, to kind of prepare us to see the competition within our region, Mercer and CCM. So we're just really looking forward to that. I know this year we have a really tough schedule. I think we have Niagara on the schedule, a team from Minnesota, Little Falls, Rainy River. Yeah.
Community College of Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Niagara twice.
Yeah.
On the schedule, they're a strong program.
Yeah, I know those are all ranked teams. So we're looking forward to it though. We want to play tough teams because we want to be as good as we can be. We want to kind of make a name for Sussex County. So we want to keep playing these high quality teams and kind of prove ourselves.
Absolutely. I mean, you want to be challenged, and this schedule will certainly be a challenging one for you. And it must be kind of tough though. You get down to Florida. The weather's nice. No snow on the ground. It's warmer, and then you play 7-8 days down there, and then you got to come home. And what's that like? Trying to get back into this adjustment of 40-degree weather. Tyler, you want to take that one?
Yeah, it's rough. Last year, I remember specifically, we got back from Florida and we were loving it, and then 3 days later, we took a trip to Atlantic Cape, and it was a good road trip. But we get there and we pile out of the vans and it's 25 degrees. So it's, everyone, it's, it kind of goes back on to Hell Week. You got to be mentally tough. It's great to go down, to play in Florida and to get that 70-degree weather and to get those beautiful days. But, you got to come back and you got to, lock in and check in. And, I mean, it's part of what we know. It's part of the Northeast baseball up over here is the spring. It's cold and you got to be, ready to deal with it and ready to play with it. But, it's great. It's humbling. It's, it really shows who loves the game and who has the heart and who has the tenacity to push through it and who wants to get things done and who wants, who's gonna be there to get your teammates up and be like, yeah, guys, it's cold, but they're cold too. But let's do this. Or who's gonna be the guy that's like, man, it's freezing, I want to get out of here. So it's a good experience. Kind of funny to say, not many people would say it's a good experience to go from 80 to 25, but I enjoy it. Yeah,
and that, just like you said, I mean, you got to be ready, and there's nothing you can do about it. The weather's going to be the weather. If the fields, conditions are too poor, we can cancel, postpone the game. But if the field's playable, I mean, we're going to play. For the most part, as long as it's not in the wind chill in the teens, I guess. In Florida, it's probably been a few times you played in that though as well. Let's talk a little bit about your expectations for the season. What and we'll go to Anthony on this one. Anthony, what are the expectations? What are the goals for the team? What are your individual goals? Have you guys given some thought to that?
Yeah, I mean, our expectations are high. I think they're always high. We expect to compete within our region. Honestly, I think we think we've got a shot at winning the region. I think we think we can hang with Mercer. We can definitely hang with CCM. So that's definitely one of our goals. The region, because it's right there. Last year we had some close games with those two teams, so we can kind of taste it. Down in Florida, last year we kind of went 500. This year, we want to kind of get beyond that. Even despite the tough schedule, we want to come out of there with a winning record. And then last year, we had a losing record on the season, so we definitely want to get past that, get a winning record this year, and then make the playoffs, which we missed by I think one game last year. So that's a big one for us. We want to make the playoffs because we feel like once we're there, we can kind of make a run. So
yeah, shooting for the playoffs. You got to be 500 overall, or 500 within your region games that you play. And missed it by one game last year, so it tells you how important every game is, that you play. And certainly getting into the Region 19 playoffs would be nice because once you get in that tournament, 5 5, 6 teams make it, you never know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
You know, on any given day,
Exactly.
you know, everything falls in place, and the next thing you know, you're playing for the Region 19 championship. You're listening to WRSK and the Skylander Sports Scene on 97.5, your cruising oldie station. My name's John Kuntz, and I'm talking with Tyler Goff and Anthony Carida, baseball players from our program. My next question is to Tyler, and I want Tyler to talk a little bit about the coaching staff. We mentioned Ramadan. Mehmedi is the head coach of the program. He's got some assistants with him. So, Tyler, what do you think? Be careful. Be careful what you say. He's probably listening right now. You know, you never know.
You know, I love our coaching staff. I really do. They're young. That's the first thing I got to say is, you know, it's cool that they're young, but also it's kind of a struggle sometimes because they're young. You know, you got to look at them as a coach instead of look at them as somebody who's, you know, almost like a big brother, almost. Coach Ram, you know, he's great. He's the hard head. He's the, you know, the stick it to him, the tough guy. So, you know, he's a young guy, but you know, you don't want to be on his bad side. But you know, he's great. He's a great role model. He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing, and I think that falls down the line with the other coaches. You know, we got Coach Kyle Spence, who. Same thing. I'm pretty sure him and Ram are good friends. You know, they go back, and he's hilarious. You know, he's one of the guys who you can joke around with, and but when he gets serious, you know, he's serious. And you know, him and Ram together is like fire and water. You know, it's like it's completely night and day different. But you know, it's a good combination to have because you got the guy who can, you know, be up on you and be up in your face when you're doing something wrong and mess you up, and Coach Ram, and then you have a guy like Coach Kyle who can joke around with you, kind of get you to calm back down, even keel, but then also appeal to you and get to you in a way where, you know, you can relaxingly take some input and take some feedback instead of, you know, because not everyone reacts in the right way to getting yelled at and screamed at, and you know, it's just good to have both those types of personalities in our coaching staff. And we got Coach Ryan Kasumoto, I think I'm saying that right.
Yep.
And you know, he's on the staff. He's on the staff here, and he, you know, he's like the guy who's like the big brother. You know, he's always there. He loves to be there. He loves the game. He is very knowledgeable about the game, and he just, you know, he's one of those people who you can't take him off the field. You can't get him away from the field, and he just really, really enjoys being here, helping us out. And he's a pleasure to be around, you know, jokes around with us, loves being a part of the team, and it's just great having him here. And we also got a new coach in addition to this year, Coach Luke Lowry. Coach Luke Lowry. And he played here at Sussex, I believe, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's a new addition as the catching coach. And, you know, so I'm going to be a little biased here. He's my favorite coach. I spend a lot of time with him. But he's very knowledgeable about the game, and I think that's one thing that I like about our coaching staff is they know what they're doing, and you know, they know how to utilize our time best. You know, when we're stuck in a gym for 2.5, 3 hours, you know, they know how to utilize our time and how to get us prepared for the season. So, you know,
it's a solid staff. It's a solid staff of coaches.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot of different characteristics there, but I think they blend really well. Headed by Ram, and they do an excellent job, and I know that they're looking forward to the season. Now you guys play all your home games at Skyland Stadium. You know, which is kind of special. You know, some players in the area may have had the opportunity to play there, you know, one time or something, or maybe once a year. You get the opportunity to play all of your home games at Skyland Stadium. So, Anthony, I want to talk about that experience of being able to call Skyland Stadium, you know, SCCC's home baseball field.
Yeah, well, that's a big part of the reason why I came here. It's a great recruiting tool that the coaches have because, you know, you are playing, you know, it's a semi-professional stadium, and it's a nice stadium too. They've really done a lot of great things with it.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's exciting. You know, it's something that really, for us, you know, we get excited to go play there. You know, when we have home games, it's kind of that extra little boost, that little motivation to go out and play hard. And, you know, it's really important. And not only that, but I know, like for me, like I'm going to other schools right now and kind of going on visits and stuff. And the stadiums or like the fields at other like 4-year schools, they're not as big as that.
Right.
So like for me as an outfielder, when I'm able to cover more ground at
Yeah.
Skylands, it looks better for me going to another school. So it's really a great thing for us as a program, and it allows us to kind of better ourselves because it is a big park. So
Yeah, it's a great venue for baseball, a great opportunity for our student athletes and baseball players to play there on a regular basis. The stadium owned by Al Dorso and his nephew Justin, who runs the place over there, are great people and have been very good to us. Occasionally we get the opportunity to practice in the stadium when it's available, but to play all of our home baseball games at Skyland Stadium is something special, for you guys. We're going to wrap up on this one here. Question for both of you. What is the one thing that you need to have to compete at this level, at the two-year college level? Obviously, you got to have some skill. But what's the other intangible thing that you think is extremely important to have to compete here?
I'd say, you got to have, the determination, that mental toughness, because it's a long season. It's almost 50 games,
Right.
A lot of double headers. So in the beginning, it's easy because you're excited, you're ready to get out on the field. But once you start kind of getting past Florida and the middle of the season, it can kind of wear you down. So you really have to have that kind of mental toughness to push through that. Keep playing, keep giving it your best every single game. Because, people get banged up. Last year I had a little bit of an ankle injury, but you got to kind of push through that because, we're out there to win games. And, if you're not giving it your best, the guy behind you will. So, you're fighting for your spot. You got to have that toughness to really push through.
Yeah. And Tyler, for you?
What he said, what Carida said right here is, it's a great thing to have. But for me, I think it's the ability to be receptive and to be accepting of what what you're getting and what your purpose is here. A lot of guys coming out of high school, they have the mindset, I'm going to go D1 or I'm going to go D2 in the NCAA level. But when you come to a JUCO Division II level, the thing you got to have is pride in what you're doing and pride in where you're at. You can't just take this. A lot of people say trust the process. You got to trust the process in the JUCO route, in being that you're here for a reason. You're here, put in your work hard, and create memories. And if you do that, and you have the heart, and you have the mental toughness and the mental fortitude, and you trust the process, it's going to take you somewhere else of where you want to go. So, for me to really be able to compete here, you gotta trust in yourself, you gotta trust in the people around you, and you gotta be able to be receptive and accepting of what you got going on, what you got around you.
Well said, guys. I really appreciate it, both of you, for being here today. My guests have been Tyler Goff and Anthony Carida, members of our baseball players. You've been listening to the Skylander Sports Scene on WRSK 97.5, your cruising oldies station.